Good afternoon. My name is Susan Stewart, and I'm the chair of Interfaith Outreach, and this is Marty Himmelfarb, who's my vice chair.
Hello everyone, Marty Himmelfarb, vice chair of Interfaith Outreach, and we're here at a community dinner at the Venice United Church of Christ on Shamrock Boulevard, one of 4 sites that we hold our weekly dinners in. The other sites are located on Venice Island at the St. Mark's Church, at the Emmanuel Lutheran Church, and also at Grace United Methodist Church. Each Monday night, or in this case it's the first Tuesday of the night because we had a holiday yesterday, we had Labor Day, so there's no bus transportation to speak of. We hold a dinner that is staffed by at least 20 volunteers. Each one, we have 4 teams. There are 4 sets of chefs, there are 4 sets of servers, there are greeters, there are people who go from table to socialize with many of our guests, where we feed on average about 50 people. That's each and every week, 52 weeks of the year, and we've been doing it since 2008.
Yes.
So we're talking about thousands of diners over the course of these past years, all enjoying food lovingly prepared by our chefs and served with great grace by our other volunteers, all made possible by grants from people like the Venice Golf and Country Club Charitable Foundation. The $2,500 grant you gave us this year will fund approximately 4 months of these dinners. The chefs are very innovative at stretching the money. Each meal contains a hot entree. Always we have meat or chicken. We always have fresh vegetables. We're very concerned about the guests having really good hot meals, nothing canned and nothing frozen for that matter if we can avoid it. We also have, I was mentioning to you earlier, we now have dessert as part of every meal, which wasn't really part of the nutrition package, but one of our chefs felt that no meal is complete without something sweet, and so now we're all doing it. And tonight's for example, some of it was donated, and tonight's dessert comes from Publix the day after Labor Day. So we're having Labor Day cookies and Labor Day cupcakes, but of course one day afterwards, but they're perfectly great. This is a wonderful program because it not only serves at least 50 people each week, it also offers an opportunity for at least 20 volunteers at each organization to really help out and to do great work for the community. The typical diner who comes to one of these community dinners falls into 3 categories of people. About a third of them may be homeless in a technical sense. About a third of them may be elderly who live on fixed incomes and just don't have enough money to make it, considering that their other expenses are rising while their incomes are fixed. And a third are poor folks who are working, and that's an interesting phenomenon. Wages are so low for some entry-level jobs and some low-level jobs that there just isn't enough to feed a family. In fact, our statistics, which match those of Feeding America, which is the parent organization of the All Faiths Food Bank, show that maybe 1 out of 7 families is food insecure in Sarasota County. We're talking about thousands and thousands of families. We can't help them all, but we do our best with our resources to feed at least 50 of those. And later tonight you might see some of the families which will tend to come a little later because they're working. We start serving at 4:30, but those folks don't come until 5:30 because that's what time it takes for them to get out of work and get here. And you'll see children, and you'll see adults of working age, and you'll also see senior citizens. We're seeing a growth in the number of women who come, which is an interesting phenomenon. We're not sure why that is.
I think possibly it's because it's a very safe environment.
Yes, that's a really good point. It's also a very social environment,
yes,
which brings to mind the fact that while we provide nutrition by way of food, we are also providing social contact, which many of our elderly folks just don't get anywhere else. And they may not today have seen anyone but other people who are coming to dinner tonight. And you'll see as the folks come in about a half hour, they'll cluster in tables and they'll greet each other like friends. They develop social relationships which are also furthered here.
Which it brings up another point. I have seen so much camaraderie. You have the younger, some of the homeless people are very, very protective of our senior citizens, making sure that they get to their cars safely, or if they don't have a car, some of them actually drive the people.
Yes, which is really a nice thing. Also, some of our guests, and we of course don't charge anything for this dinner, it's free, will offer to volunteer and help. And speaking of help, that brings to mind the fact that many of these folks need social services beyond the nutritional services of one meal that we provide. And so we have a resource table which has information to connect them to virtually any social service they might need. And of course many of them are shy and don't want to admit these, so we have people we call socializers who table hop, and will sit down with everyone at the table and just chat with them and try to figure out what might be good for them, whether they need transportation services, medical services, job finding services, housing services. Sometimes
as simple as, where can I get a shower?
Yes, and in light of services, we've gone one step. At one of our dinners, one day a month, we have a doctor come in, a lovely woman from Pennsylvania who has retired to the Venice area. She ran a community clinic for uninsured people near Philadelphia, and she has very graciously volunteered. She has a license here in Florida to be a physician, and she does blood pressure and will soon be doing diabetes screening for our guests who want it, and provide them with counseling to get them to some further medical area if they need it. And she's got so much experience dealing with people who need a helping hand. She can speak to them for 30 seconds or a minute, she told me, and she can pretty well diagnose whatever their medical and mental conditions are. So,
in addition, we have Walgreens coming in October. Walgreens is coming to give flu shots.
Free flu shots, Susan arranged, which is, this will be our third year doing that.
That's correct.
So we figure if we can even eliminate one hospital admission in the Venice area, we've done a whole year's worth of work when you take a look to see how much medical care costs on an emergency basis. So here we are. The food today was prepared at the Jewish congregation of Venice. It wasn't prepared in this kitchen because this kitchen doesn't have all the equipment it needs, so it's prepared there at the commercial kitchen, brought here. It is served with the gracious generosity of this church. At other churches, which I have mentioned, they actually have commercial kitchens. We're very concerned that all the meals are located on a bus line, so those people who don't have a car or are too far to walk or don't have a bicycle can get here. And that's the reason why we're here Tuesday night, the day after Labor Day, instead of yesterday when the bus service is so much limited. Without the generosity of the Venice Golf and Country Club Foundation, we would not be able to do dinners like this. The grant that you gave us will fund nearly 4 months of these dinners, perhaps even more, because many of these chefs are wonderful at squeezing out these meals at a much lower cost than we budget for, because many of the churches will have events. I know that's true at every one of these churches, and the chefs always seem to find a way to keep some of the food, or maybe get a little extra food, or the food in reserve just in case, and they'll save it up and they'll use it here, which cuts the cost. So we might even be able to get 5 or 6 months out of the grant that you gave us.
And when you think about that, that's over 1,000 people. 1,000 people that are being fed through this service.
It's amazing what these chefs do. And I should mention also that these chefs have all completed the Serve Safe Safety course. They're all licensed. All the kitchens where the food is prepared are licensed, and commercial kitchens kept up to standard.
And we follow all of the rules and regulations, aprons and hairnets, and et cetera, et cetera.
And we have actually 3 other programs that we do. The money from the Venice Golf and Country Club fund part of the dinners, but we also have programs which include, and you can tell by the background noise that this is a social event for the volunteers as well. So we're doing a double social service, not just for the guests who come for dinner, but the people who want an opportunity to provide volunteer services to the people. But we also make 100 lunches every week. Those are assembled at the St. Mark's Church on the island, Episcopal Church. Those are brought brought over to the Center of Hope, where they're given out to people who require social services there. We do that also 52 weeks a year. We coordinate the Backpack Kids program right here in this very hall once every 2 weeks, where various sponsor groups buy food through the All Faiths Food Bank. It's assembled into packages which are then given in backpacks to needy students each Friday afternoon. That's our third program, and our fourth program comes into play during the winter months when the temperature drops below 40. We operate a cold weather shelter, and that takes place at the Grace United Methodist Church, which is very generous in allowing us the use of that space. So that's, and to fund this, of course, we rely on grants from organizations like yours, individual donations. We even stage a concert every year to raise money for the lunch program. And so we're thankful to all of our donors, and we're especially grateful to you for not only coming in after giving us the money, but publicizing this wonderful activity. So thank you very much on behalf of Interfaith Outreach.
And if anyone's interested, they can go on our website.
Interfaith Outreach Inc.org, where they can find volunteer and donation opportunities.